I was a paramedic. Somebody said, it would be unbelievable if somebody marketed coffee around healthcare.
People love coffee, bro, every day of the week. That's not like a day off thing.
I thought if somebody could take that coffee and put it in something that with CPR on it, that could be a market. I was only going to be open 3 days a week. And I'd be at MedEvac and the neighbors would be calling and be like, dude, your parking lot is full. Like, why aren't you open?
It shows in your product, dude. It's really freaking good. Well, we appreciate having you, man.
I'm honored. I truly am.
No crap. We love the coffee.
I know you do.
I mean, if you walked by and looked at the coffee machine, the bags were all there.
Yeah.
And then the decaf bags were in the front.
Yeah.
Because that's me. I'm the decaf guy. But straight up, no BS. Great coffee, man.
I do appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
I do.
And I was very wary about the decaf because I've had flavored decaf.
Yeah.
They all suck.
Yeah.
Like just in general. But I grew to just deal with it because I'm like, well, Fred, you're drinking decaf. You're drinking unleaded. People make fun of you already for that.
Yeah.
So to get a flavor that actually tastes good is going to be hard to find.
Yeah.
And then in comes Firehouse Coffee.
Yeah.
Blows me away.
Yeah. I wasn't even going to ever serve or offer decaf. That's the funny part. And I put decaf out and then I actually thought, you know what, I'm going to really work on this because I actually looked online to see what was out there. And, I'm a sampler, like even local roasteries, I'll go and buy their coffee at the store or wherever I can get it just to say, all right, how am I doing compared to XYZ company?
Yeah.
And man, decaf was challenging. It was challenging. And I was like, I got to be able to do something better. And actually it's a blend. Everything I do with the decaf flavored coffee, I blend it. And I personally blend it. It's not like a importer blends it. I actually blend it. I have two coffees that I blend together. And I actually do what they call post roast. I blend one, then I blend the other, and then there's a certain mixture that I put together afterwards, and then I flavor it. But when we get into talking, years ago, flavored coffee was everybody's like, use the cheapest coffee and then put the oil in and flavor it. And that's what they live by, where I'm just the opposite. I actually get good quality coffee, quality beans. I roast it the right way. And the flavor oils it just pushes it. It helps it. Like, it's really good.
So it's based on the quality of oil?
So I use an oil to flavor. I don't use sugars. So like I work with an oil company. Actually, I work with several oil companies now. So some of them, like there's some things that I'll actually mix myself, like put two oils together to make a flavor, or the companies that I work with, they already have it pre-mixed, but it's diluted. It's very concentrated. So it's like 1 ounce of oil for like 5 pounds of coffee.
Really?
So it's not a lot of oil. But the nice part is you're not getting something with sugar, and it's healthier for you. Now, there are, artificial flavorings and stuff in the oil. So it's not like, okay, this is all natural, but most of all my coffee is ethically sourced. And most of my coffee, all my flavored coffee is technically organic. Now, I don't have the organic tag on it just because it's a whole different animal with certification. But ultimately, I use really top-end quality coffees.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah.
Straight up. I mean, I was introduced to it 2 years ago because we were looking for local coffee companies to actually gift to our clients.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, hey, Firehouse Coffee is really good. I think it was recommended to her by a friend of hers that goes to your place a lot.
Okay.
And she bought the bags 2 Christmases ago, and we tasted it. And I was like, yo. Like, I mean, coffee is everything. Like for me, I mean, it was, I would get 24-ounce coffees and like 2 or 3 a day, which is why I'm on decaf now. Yeah. But it's just what I loved. And growing up in New York, I mean, it was like you go to the corner store, let me get a light and sweet with the bacon, egg, and cheese. Like boom, boom. It was like automatic.
Yeah.
And to have something really good that I personally haven't tasted since I left New York, but only because, and hopefully this isn't offensive to you, but I used to go to Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Yep.
New York. And they used to have a French vanilla roast that tasted amazing. And then they changed it.
Yes.
And what I found out was they just make their regular coffee and throw French vanilla syrup in it. And I was like, this is crap.
Yeah.
And I never had a great flavored coffee since until I had yours. And I was like, okay, there's something he's doing. I mean, again, not offensive. I don't know if it's the same, but I was like, whatever he's doing is kind of reminding me of the French vanilla Dunkin' days from like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, he's doing it. Now I remember this. This tastes good.
Yeah.
You know, so I really appreciate what you're doing with the coffee because that's probably the best legal drug available.
Yep, it was funny because when I used to talk to another gentleman about coffee, he always used to say to me, "You're selling the only legal drug that there is out there." So yeah.
So why coffee, man? Like what was it that you were just like, you know what, I'm gonna roast some coffee? Other than everybody and their mom loves coffee.
Yeah,
but you know,
I'd never seen it coming, to be honest with you. I didn't.
Really?
It's not like I was a kid and I was like, man, I want to grow up and be a coffee roaster. I didn't even know what a coffee roaster was. I was a paramedic and I grew up in Fleetwood.
Paramedic.
Yeah.
How long were you doing paramedic for? Are you still doing?
I'm still doing it.
Right.
I'm in the business now. It's 33 years. 34
Thank you,
years.
brother.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
You're
that.
saving people, helping people.
Yeah.
Right on.
But you drink a lot of coffee. You know, a lot of coffee. I work a lot of long nights, challenging days. And, you know, with that, you know, back in the day we were volunteer. And when we weren't volunteering, you know, you were still volunteering because you were with the fire company. And I grew up at the Fleetwood Firehouse at the Fleetwood Fire Station. And, you know, there's a Turkey Hill right across the street. I used to go over there, get coffee. And I never liked it. It was never good. And I worked with a lady, her name was Lillian, and she was a paramedic. And she always drank tea. And tea was just too subtle for me, too mild. And, you know, so, you know, I just kind of was going about my business. And, you know, one day I work on a helicopter and I've been a MedEvac paramedic I've been in the department with MedEvac for over 30 years as well. Cause it was my first job right out of school. I was a dispatcher for them. We were in the cafeteria one day and I was on duty on the helicopter and the coffee urn had broken the hospital. And the whole hospital was bitching that there was no coffee.
Right.
And this was back when the hospital was a lot smaller and they literally operated out of one coffee urn, one coffee brewer. Yeah. And I was going to the different floors for stuff and they were like, do you know, did the cafeteria get their coffee maker fixed? This is ridiculous. And there wasn't any Dunkin' Donuts nearby at that point. And, you know, we were having lunch downstairs and at the cafeteria and somebody said, you know, it would be unbelievable if somebody marketed coffee around healthcare. And being in the fire company, I thought, wow, this is pretty neat, you know, and I started thinking like coffee, CPR, coffee, something or the other. And we were going on a call and I was in the air and, unfortunately, it was a bad car accident. They came over the radio and said that we were canceled, that they were doing CPR on the person and that they were going to go by ground. So they didn't need the helicopter. So I was like, CPR, Colombian Premium Roast. So that was my first name.
Okay.
I came up with Colombian Premium Roast.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And my first, before I was Firehouse Coffee, and I still own the federal trademark, but I was actually Java Medic and the Coffee Medic. And
hey, if you need a job in marketing, let me know.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But the problem is, this is no lie. When I first started, I was doing really good. I'd go to like events and like go to like healthcare shows and stuff.
Right on.
I put my website up and I was getting calls from all over the country about fixing espresso machines because everybody thought
CPR.
Yeah, everybody thought that I was like the Java medic thinking that I fixed coffee machines. And I mean, I'd get 3-4 phone calls a day. And then the name Firehouse Coffee became available. And I was already selling a Firehouse blend on my website, my old website, Java Medic. And I was selling a Firehouse blend and I thought, you know, Firehouse blend, Firehouse. And then I came out with Firehouse Coffee and I searched the .com. It was available. I work with Larry Miller from the Miller Law Group right here in West Lawn.
Right on.
And he's a trademark guy and I have several trademarks. I called him. I said, do you think we can trademark this name? And he was like, I don't know. He's like, let me look at it. And we were able to get the federal trademark and here I am, the .com and the federal trademark. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So 33 years as a paramedic, flying helicopters.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I'm not going to look, you're here for coffee. I get it. But helicopters.
Yeah.
Like, how do you get into that?
So it was weird. I lived across the street from the Fleetwood fire station.
Right on.
Like my family, like we lived right across the street. And my grandmother and my great grandmother raised me. And my mom, single mom, worked, 2 jobs to keep everything going. And I just really connected with the guys from the fire station. Okay. I mean, I used to have a job when I was like 14. I'd run across when the calls would come in. We had scanners at my house. I'd run across and I'd open all the doors for them. That was my job as a kid. Cool, man. And I actually wound up getting on. And so one of the very first times I was an EMT. I started out as a first aid person. I had advanced first aid and I was running with them. And I got to a bad scene, a car accident, and they called for MedEvac. And this helicopter landed in our community park. And I was like, holy crap. I didn't even know they did this. Right. And it was just wow, and it was so funny because about a year later, they used to do helicopter classes about how to land a helicopter and stuff. And I actually went with the fire department up to Lehigh Valley Hospital. And I went through my first helicopter training to land a helicopter. And about a year and a half later, the same people that were there teaching the class sat under my interview for, when I applied, and I got the job. I was a dispatcher. Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's killer.
Yeah. So I was very blessed with my career because, man, when I saw the helicopter land, I was like, that's freaking awesome. Yeah, I mean, dude. It's an amazing thing. And I describe the helicopter as it's not a ride at Dorney Park. I mean, I'm a part of a system. We have a trauma system that when somebody's in a car accident, the pre-hospital folks get there, they determine, hey, this person's really bad. They need to go to a trauma center. And depending on where they're located, a helicopter might be the fastest way to get them there. So we get them there, we get there, and it's amazing what we can do, with our protocols. And we can be doing, we can intubate people. We can do things where if we can't get the IV, we can actually put a needle right into the bone of somebody.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah. If somebody has a what they call a pneumothorax or tension pneumothorax, we can actually put a hole in their chest and relieve the air. So we'll cut a hole, put our finger in there, and let that air out. I mean, it's a finger thoracotomy.
Finger thoracotomy.
Yeah, yeah. There's some crazy things. Wild, Yeah, coffee roaster from to paramedic to coffee roaster. It's like, but I tell everybody all the time, like when I'm at the shop and I'm roasting and we're doing what we're doing, it's just coffee. If you spill a bag of beans, it's a bag of beans. The shit that I see is a lot.
I could only imagine.
A lot worse,
I could only imagine.
But I'm blessed because I have a good career, and I don't. I'm not one that, everybody else says, well, what's the worst call you've been on? And I said, well, I don't care about the worst call. I care about the people that we've saved.
Right on.
Some of the burn patients that we've taken to the hospital that are in house fires that jump from the second story. I could tell you calls that I've been on that you just won't believe, but these people are alive today because of the system, the hospital that we take them to. And we're blessed because we have good hospitals right here in Berks County. Like I actually went to paramedic school at Reading Hospital. Right on. So Tower Health, I'm a huge fan of Tower Health and their trauma program. I fly trauma patients in when we fly to the closest facility. So I'm blessed with the career that I've had, and this is my second win, man. This is my second career, and I'm having a hell of a time with it. It's like coffee is my passion now. It's there. It's like. People come in, I don't see them when they're all banged up on the side of a road. We can have a good time and talk about fun things, and it's a lot different. It's a different career path.
But you're still a paramedic.
I am. So there's, it's an interesting situation for me.
Because I want to know when. How is this happening?
Yeah. And it's like, it's funny because one of the questions that you had emailed me was, when are you going to know that moment, And I still got that burning urge. I'm still on my A game. Now, you talk to some of my coworkers, if they watch this, I don't want to hear any bullshit from you guys. But I still really enjoy it. And I have a family. So I started a little bit older when I had kids. I have a daughter who is, she's going to be 14.
Right on.
And I have a little boy who is, he's going to be 5. And I see kind of like your eyes kind of popped up. We adopted him, and
That's awesome.
We've had him since he's 27 days old.
Cool.
So there's a financial aspect to this because, I've been able to kind of put money away for my daughter and get ready for college. But, if I pack it in right now, there's a big responsibility for me to be able to fund a lot of things over the next several years, you know. So there's a lot of up in the airs, if that makes sense. But one thing is definitely golden in me is my family's the most important part. And, I feel like my time's coming soon, and my wife, if it was up to her, I'd be done.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd be done. She every morning when I'm leaving for the helicopter, she's like, "Is this the last day?" And I'm like, "Not yet, dear." But we're having fun, and I'm still, I'm 54. I'm still in good shape.
Man, you don't look 54, brother.
I appreciate it.
You look good.
See, I like you. You're a good guy. You look good too.
Thanks, man. But people think I'm in my 50s. That's what's funny.
Yeah, no, you can tell I'm in my 50s. It's but I'm okay with it. I aging for me it's a grace. I love it, actually.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that because I tell my wife tells me every day, I love her to death. She's always like, "You're so cute. You're a good looking guy." But the other day I was looking at myself in the mirror. I was like, pretty good looking guy.
You got it.
I like the little tan happening, the beard happening. I was like, you know what? I like you.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
And I think that's amazing because honestly, if you can look in the mirror and truly say, "I like that guy," I think you're doing something right in the world.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I think it's just really my wife. I won't lie to you. I mean, I could go into my past and listen to old episodes. It was a little rough.
Yeah.
My wife was the first person that she made me feel different. So I love
powerful,
my wife.
dude.
I thank her for that. Yeah. I mean, you're supposed to marry your best friend, man.
Yeah.
Like the person that you can go to war with.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, then, you got to do something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's awesome.
That's
she
awesome.
Makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for my wife. And she introduced me to you.
Yeah.
So it was a 2 for already.
That's awesome.
But do you mind if we talk about your son?
No, sure. No.
So you adopted your son.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? Like, how is it like, I mean, you have I'm going to assume you have your wife, you had your daughter together.
Yep.
And then now we have your son.
Yeah.
And, you know what, first of all, God bless, dude. I know my neighbors behind me, they just adopted 2 boys.
Yeah.
About a year or so ago, and I talked to him and my buddy Tim, and I let him know, man, you're doing God's work, adopting a child. So, same for you, man.
Yeah.
But what was the inspiration? What was the motivation?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I really never wanted children to begin with. To be honest, I was a single guy. I had kind of a crazy past like you. And, when I married my wife, the deal was that we would have at least 1 child.
Right on.
And I was so blessed to have a beautiful girl. Her name's Lily May.
Lily. Great name.
And and she's an unbelievable kid. Like, I am so proud of her beyond my ever imagination. Like, I'm so blessed to have her. And, I was a different person. I always say I was a different person the day she was born. And, ironically, the day she was born, my wife had a lot of complications, and my wife was intubated. She was in the ICU for several days, and it was a really bad experience for my wife. And we were told, really don't have any more children. And with that being said, I was good. I was like, I got my daughter. I'm happy. I'm good. Life is good. And my wife, she just always really wanted another child, and she was the one that brought it to my, to the front to me. And she was like, "Hey, listen, I really want to look at, maybe, fostering or adopting." And I was like, "No, not interested. Like, I just don't even want to get involved in that crap." I'm like, "We're too busy. No, we got a good family. No." And I was pretty solid on that. Like, it was a pretty solid no. And it's not like my wife and I, we have a very good relationship because she supports me to the end of the world. She is just there for me for everything. And I was just pretty adamant that I have too much stuff going on. And I never even knew how I would do as a father, because I really, the whole father thing in my history was like, it just wasn't there.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I came home one day and she basically had an appointment that she was going to go to a place in Briningsville about an information session about it. So basically I could stay home by myself or I could go with her, and I kind of knew which way it was going. The whole way there, I was like, I'm just letting you know, we're not signing up for any of this crap. We're not getting involved in it. And, I went there and, we walk in and I'm like, so what are they doing? She's like, well, there's going to be some 18 or 17-year-old kid here who's going to be talking about why he still wants to be adopted. I was like, this is going to be a no-brainer. He's like, going to be 18 in a month, tell him to go find a family, get a job, and work the American dream like the rest of us, And I was pretty adamant, this is just going to be a waste of my time. And 2 hours later, I'm walking out crying and I'm like, sign us up, we're done. Because the whole thing is, you just growing up, I never thought I had the perfect family, and I don't think anybody growing up thinks they do. Yeah. But man, when I left, and the older I get and the more I see, I had the best freaking family life ever. I had people that loved and cared for me, and there are people that are out there that they just don't have that. And so that's really how it happened. We went through this whole foster thing, and we really were very specific on what we wanted, and I didn't want a baby because of my age. I didn't want a baby. I didn't want a boy, and I had all these things
kind of hearing all these things that you weren't going to do.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's kind of what you got.
I got everything that I didn't want, and that's the truth. And thank God, because my son is incredible. He's my son.
Right
and there might be some blood shy, issues, but other than that, 100%, he is my little guy, and we love him to death. We have a good family. My daughter is so good with him, and we have him since he's 27 days old. I can get you some pictures, and I don't know if you can upload that into the podcast for them to see it, but the day that we got him, and we're just so happy.
Cool.
But now what I do is I really try and support the adoption and the foster system. I'm huge with that. So I want to mention the two places, we work with the Salvation Army with my son, and we work with Salvation Army in Allentown, which they have an adoption and foster agency. And then I also am a true believer in Diacon out of Topton, and also the Cairn Foundation in Fleetwood. I know those are the three local ones that I always like to mention because, I haven't really done a lot with the Cairn Foundation, but I have donated money to, Diacon and Salvation Army, and I'm really big into the whole adoption system.
Right on. We're big supporters too. We do the Awesome Toy Drive every year.
Oh,
that's our big thing, and we support Concern for Kids, Children's Home of Reading.
Wow.
We're two of the big ones, and we also help other organizations like Mary Shelter, Opportunity House.
Wow.
But we just try to hook up kids for the holidays, man.
Yeah. Well, I saw the Santa's mailbox. I didn't understand what that was. That's genius.
Yeah, I mean, that's me. Actually, that's cool. That's just, I love Santa. I love Christmas. So for me, if you have a child and they have a letter for Santa, you can drop it in the mailbox. Santa writes back every year.
That's awesome.
Every year, man. Yeah.
Well, let's team up with something, because I want to be a part of something that you're doing. And,
yeah, man. Awesome toy drive, dude.
I'd love to be a part of it. With Firehouse Coffee. I mean, we can maybe do I am in Berks County, and I know I'm on the outskirts about Berks County. Everybody keeps forgetting that. But I would love to do maybe something on on the eastern side of Berks, and get it supported for you and your cause.
Absolutely. Cool, man. Well, man, thank you very much for helping out your son, which I know you don't need to know that, but that's miraculous, dude.
We're blessed.
That's amazing.
We're blessed. He was a blessing to us. So there's no, and there are a lot of, the more and more I'm into the whole adoption and the fostering, there are a lot of places that are out there. Like there's another company that foundation that we really sponsor, and there's so many things that are out there, but there's another company out there where they basically, when you get placement of a foster child, where you can go to them and they will get you clothing, bedding, car seats, it's called the Kindness Project, but they're just unbelievable. So, I have customers that come in and give me checks. I just had a customer, and if they watch this, I hope they do. They always want to remain anonymous, but they're from the Hamburg area. And she just came in and she wrote me a check for $200, which we give to the Kindness Project. Or with this one, it's probably going to go to Diacon. So I have a lot of involvement with that stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So aside from coffee, which is why you're even here.
Yeah.
Paramedic, MedEvac, you adopted your son. You're a great dude. You give back to the community. Like this freaking guy. Look at this freaking guy over here, Joseph.
Yeah.
This guy.
We got to get our picture together before we leave.
Oh, we do that every time. Don't worry about it. We got that. So you're awesome already. And then you were like, I'm going to make the best dang coffee there ever is.
Yeah. Are we still at that? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually in California with my cousins.
Right
we were doing wine tasting. And we went to see the Price is Right show with Bob Barker.
Yes. Did you see Bob Barker?
We did. I've seen him several times.
Man.
I
wish I could have seen that.
When my wife and I got married, I actually sent him a handwritten note and an invitation to our wedding. And he actually sent me back a picture and said, congratulations. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there, but he signed it. So I have a signed congratulations on your big day.
That is amazing. I mean, Bob Barker was my childhood when I got sick. Like everybody else.
Everybody else.
Hung out in my parents' bed and watched Price is Right.
That's exactly it.
Boy.
That's exactly it.
Best, dude.
But there was a little coffee kiosk right outside of CBS studio. And I went over and I was expecting Turkey Hill coffee. And it was the best coffee I ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back after the show and I said, what kind of coffee is this? And they're like, we don't know. We work with a coffee roaster. I was like, what the hell is a coffee roaster? And it was right around the time where that coffee urn broke down. So it just seemed to come together for me that like I thought if somebody could take that coffee and put it in something that with CPR on it,
mm-hmm.
that could be a market,
mm-hmm.
And I I honestly really always had that marketing power drive, but man, I just started writing like everything down and on paper, on napkins, if I was out somewhere. And, it's like, I just somewhat started to put it together, and it took me about 2-3 years, and I had a bunch of names. I had a scrap paper in a folder with all these business ideas. And, back when I was doing this, nobody was doing niche coffee. Like there wasn't a Black Rifle or, anybody like that.
Yeah, it was just coffee.
It was just
wasn't
coffee.
a big deal.
Nobody was doing it.
Yeah.
And I came across this site. It was called Badass Coffee, and it was all about Hawaiian coffee.
Yeah, people love that coffee.
And I thought, if I could create something like that around the healthcare, that would be it. And I work with a guy who he was up in New Ringgold. He did fly fishing, and he just did website design on the side. And there were nights where I would go up there till 9-10 o'clock at night, and we put this website together. And we just kind of like put something online, and I work with another coffee roaster, and it started to take off like unbelievably. Oh. And I outsourced my coffee for probably about 15 years. And then it was kind of like a bad marriage. It was like time to just either, work together and be solid together or go my different way. And I basically went to California. I learned how to roast. And then I started traveling the country and looking at different coffee roasters. And I really got the concept of the coffee from out in California. There was a coffee roastery that I went to, and it was an open concept. And normally in this area, if you ever went to a coffee roastery, everybody had everything like behind the doors, and then they just had like a little stand up front where you could buy coffee and stuff. But this coffee place was an open roastery, they called it. And basically you could see them doing everything. And I kind of always refer to it like a brewery. Like you could go there, have dinner, and, watch them, getting the vats ready. And the problem is with the roastery in California, it was really dirty. And I'm somewhat of a clean freak. Like I want it to be clean. And like if you look at any of my Google reviews, one thing that they always say is Firehouse Coffee is so clean.
It looks clean from the outside.
It's clean on the inside too, or I'll fire some people. But that's where I got the concept of the openness that I did. And I kind of determined which coffee roaster I wanted. The coffee roaster is really the Cadillac of all coffee roasters. I imported it from the Netherlands. It's called a Gießen. And I think it was like $70,000 for the roaster.
Wow.
Had it custom made for me. Coffee's interesting because it's kind of like popcorn. It gets so hot, it's endothermic. It gets hotter and hotter and hotter. And at a certain point, the coffee is so hot that the gases inside actually will crack the bean open. Okay. It's called first crack. And those gases that come off the bean are, they're not the best gases that come off. I like to refer to it as like if you've ever been at a campfire and you're roasting a marshmallow, you make your s'mores, you eat it. Everybody's having a good time. You go inside the house. What happens? You smell like smoke.
Right.
I call that staining. All right. Okay. And that staining, when those gases come off the bean, that's what happens. Your coffee gets stained with the bitter and the burnt taste. And this machine has an airflow function that I can actually push airflow through the machine. So it's kind of like a wind tunnel, like the vacuum cleaner, like all those bad gases kind of like get in the middle and we push it out so it doesn't touch the bean. Makes sense. Yeah. And then you don't have the acidity either. Like everybody always says, oh, your coffee doesn't have the acidity. Well, that's because I can actually control the drum speed on how fast the drum goes on the coffee roaster. So the faster I get the drum speed going, the more airflow that I can get through, if that makes sense.
So that's why it tastes good.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of
total sense, though.
Now, you're not going to be a coffee roaster.
Not at all. Okay. I'm just going to go to your place.
Don't tell anybody about this.
No, but like even, I know there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
But even just like black and white, like it's almost common sense.
Yeah.
It's like you do it inside, you get the first crack happens, all the bitterness and stuff lays on the bean.
Yep.
You do it outside or have a machine that has the outside or the airflow. Yep. It doesn't stick to the bean.
Exactly.
So it tastes better.
Yeah.
It's like when you burn your butter and you're making eggs, it's already ruined.
Right.
You can't burn the butter. It's going to taste like crap.
That's exactly right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And that's why you have the best cup of coffee.
And we have a process. It's all computerized. So like everything that I do is not just like me guessing at it. It's all computerized. But it's not a machine where you just throw everything in and it does it. I have to program it. Like every coffee bean's different. We import from all over the world. I import, I use a lot of Brazil coffee. Mm-hmm. I use Colombian coffee. I use a lot of Guatemalan. We do Ethiopian. I do some Honduras. I do some Kenya.
What's your favorite?
Guatemalan.
Guatemalan.
Yeah, I love Guatemalan coffee.
Yeah. I saw a clip. You ever watch The Birdcage?
I did, yeah.
With what's his name? Hank Azaria's in it.
Yeah.
He's like talking to Rob Williams. He's like, "Are you afraid of my Guatemalaness?"
That's true. I never even,
only because I saw that this morning. I love that movie.
Yeah, I love that.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But Hank Azaria is amazing in it.
Oh, yeah.
And when he did, why don't you let me in your show? Are you afraid of my heat?
Yep. Yeah, that's so funny,
dude. But Guatemalan, all right. Why is that your favorite? Like, is there like what? Like, not that I'm like an aficionado, but like, what's the difference? Or
I like the low acidity. I like the flavor of it. I like how I roast it. It's just one of my. I think it's just an all around. Like, I don't want to say middle of the road because it's really a high end it's a high end kind of coffee compared to like some of the stuff that I know other places use and like even some of the stuff that we use. But it's just a very good cup of coffee.
Solid.
It's a solid cup of coffee. It's a solid roast. And, it doesn't have bitterness. It doesn't have, so some coffees have, some like, I have what they call a coffee wheel, that every coffee can give off a different type of flavor depending on how it's roasted.
Right on.
So like a Sumatra coffee, from the Indonesia islands has, some of it's grown in volcanic ash. So it has a real earthy taste to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Brazil has a little bit more of a nutty taste. Guatemala, it's just kind of like, it's just solid coffee. It's just there. It's good coffee. And it's not the most expensive coffee, but it's what I take when I'm on vacation. We're really good at the flavored coffees, and I use Guatemala a lot, and I use Brazil a lot. But for the most part, I feel that we have a really good contrast with my flavored coffee, because I do have a blend that I use that it's a coffee origin that not a lot of people would think that it's going to really like punch out a a great tasting flavored coffee, but it's a phenomenal coffee to use for the flavored coffees. And I kind of keep that as my trade secret, what I use and what I blend it with. But yeah, I mean, some of our origin coffee, like the Guatemalan and the Brazil and my wife likes Ethiopian, and the Ethiopian has a little bit more, I roasted a little bit lighter, and it has some notes of maybe like a honey, kind of like a berry to it.
Right on.
But it's really good. And that's that's no oils or anything.
Right on.
Yeah.
I did catch something you said before, though, when we were getting heavy into starting up your coffee. You said that you were doing it for 15 years before you got your roaster, the outsource to work together.
Yeah.
So how long has Firehouse Coffee been around?
So I started Java Medic in 2007, and then I changed the name, and I ran both of them from 2011. I think I got online at around 2012 with Firehouse Coffee, but I federally trademarked it. We went online, and I think we sold some of our first bags online at Firehouse Coffee. Now, I was selling Firehouse Coffee through Java Medic earlier than that, but I think it was right around 2012. In 2014, I was running both the websites out of my house, and I would go pick coffee up, and then I'd just kind of be like the shipping place. My garage was like packed with coffee.
Right on.
It was crazy. And ultimately, 2014, I just broke away from Java Medic, and then now I still sell a Java Medic brand. But ultimately, I transitioned everything, the website, over to Firehouse Coffee.
When did the brick and mortar come about?
3.5 years ago.
Right on. Did you see like an influx at that point when you got the brick and mortar and things were just like, or was it always good?
Well, it was always good, but what was happening was all these other places were copying me. And there are a lot of companies that are out there that have very similar names to me, and we've challenged them legally, and some of them have won and some of them have not. But what I realized was, man, everybody's leapfrogging over me. I'm playing paramedic, and I'm working with currently at the time I was working with a coffee roaster who was just giving me problems about everything when it came time to expanding and roasting more coffee and whatever. And then a new kind of regime went in, and they came in, and I thought, hey, we can all work together on this. This is going to be great. And it got worse. And I was actually like, all right, I need to make a big decision here. Like, this was a moment. And I actually went home to my wife at one point, and it was all over a grinding fee on coffee. And I went to my wife and I said, look, we have a decision we need to make. Either I'm done with this, we're packing it in, or I need to learn this trade, and we need to make this happen. And I said, I'm not going to do this half-assed. So I looked at all these different roaster schools. I looked at different coffee roasters. There's a guy out in California. His name's Mike Perry. He's Coffee Roaster of the Year for several years, and highly recommend him for coffee roasting training. And also I work with a guy by the name of Marcus Young, who worked with a coffee company called Boot Coffee, where they taught you how to do coffee roasting. And I started traveling around, and I really took time away from my family, and I went and I learned the art, and I learned it in a way that I didn't just learn that you put beans into a machine and you roast them. I learned the background on how to cup coffee, how to make sure coffee. If any coffee roasters out there, the first thing they need to do before they even touch a coffee roaster machine is learn how to cup coffee and taste coffee and what you're looking for and what the qualities are of coffee. And I think that is one of the biggest mistakes that I see with coffee roasters, that they don't really understand coffee, if that makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense.
And I read so many books on different coffees, like origins of coffees, roasting them. Like, every coffee has a different bean density, and they should all be roasted different. Like, no coffee should just be dumped into a roaster and roasted the same way. I mean, you can, but it's what sets the good roasters from the not so good roasters. And I just really took it as a passion, and I really learned to do it. And it was weird because I didn't have a location. I started doing all this training, and COVID hit, and then I just said, all right, I'm done. I was able to get enough coffee and supply that I could keep my trademarks going for a year and a half. And then I bought a piece of property on 222 where I'm at. It was the best day of my life. I was so excited. And within a month of, and people don't realize this shit. Like when I say this, you're gonna be like, holy crap. I bought the property. It was like the happiest day ever. And within a month, I was served with a lawsuit because somebody tripped and fell and was suing my wife and I for $500,000.
They tripped and fell on your
on
property.
that property, yeah.
And it was already open as Firehouse?
No. Like I didn't even get a chance to knock the building down yet because we bought it. It was a dilapidated building. But it was a neighbor. He tripped and fell, like literally within days after us having settlement. And they went and they got a lawyer and like, I don't even think the stitches.
Was it set up?
Yeah, the stitches weren't even out of this guy's head yet, and I'm being served with papers.
Yeah,
you know,
I bet.
And it was one of those deals where, it just like we were going to have a construction company come in and do all this stuff for us. And my wife's grandfather, he was 82 years old. He's like, well, we got to do this the old fashioned way, son. He's like, we got to go up there and tear that building down. So that's what we did. Him and I were up there cleaning it out. And like I always said, him and I were like Sanford and Son. We were up there, we were cleaning the place and it was a dilapidated place. And we got it down and I won the lawsuit.
Right on.
I won the lawsuit. It was all bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a small settlement. I think it was for like $7,000. But we got out from underneath that, and then we opened. And I was only going to be open 3 days a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I'd be at MedEvac, and the neighbors would call and be like, "Dude, your parking lot is full. Like, why aren't you open?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like,
only open 3 days a week.
I'm only open 3 days a week. They're like, well, it's Monday and your parking lot's full. And it was weird because I took vacation for a week and I said to my wife, I'm going to open just to see how I do, and it was weird because I wasn't even open on a Sunday. I opened Monday morning at like 8:00 and I was so busy. I was all by myself. I couldn't believe what I did in sales.
That was amazing.
I was like, holy shit. It's like,
it's coffee, bro.
I could not believe it.
And then it's good coffee.
Yeah, well, that was the problem because the people from Monday were coming back Tuesday, and then it was just crazy how well how it started. So then, within a month or two, we were open 6 days a week. We weren't open Sundays, and then we were having the same problem on Sundays. Everybody was like showing up, and I'd be there roasting, or I'd be there trying to flavor coffee to get ready for Monday morning, and the place was packed on Sunday. I was like, I might as well open up.
Dude, people love coffee, bro, every day of the week. That's not like a day off thing. I hate when some of my places are closed. I'm like, dude, that's an everyday thing.
Yeah.
It's not a weekend thing. It's not a weekday thing. It's not a holiday thing.
Challenge that I'm having now is how early do I open? Because we open at 8 and coffee really should be open at 6. But staffing is horrible trying to get people to come in at 6:00.
Hell yeah.
And I can't be inconsistent. Like some days I'm open, some days I'm closed.
I'm with you.
So we have not mastered that problem yet. So
how big is your staff?
We're up to 12 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I only got 6 and I'm like, yeah, you got 12.
Yeah, I got 12, but I have an accountant now who does all my billing, and he's a phenomenal.
Those are really good.
He's a paramedic as well.
Right on.
And then I have a dedicated social media person, and then I have
and she does a great job.
Yeah,
we love it.
She's a phenomenal person.
We see it.
I have a wholesale person who does like my wholesale, and we do wedding favors, and we do
Christmas gifts,
and we do fundraisers.
Right on.
So she manages all that, and she's phenomenal. Her name's Brienne, and then I have my back end staff. I have a lady that's just dedicated to my online sales. My online sales are tremendous. They're through the roof. And I see that position even kind of growing into eventually 2 people because it's so much. The online stuff for me is pretty phenomenal.
That's amazing, brother.
Yeah.
It's amazing, dude.
Yeah, I'm blessed. I don't want to ever say that I got lucky. I got lucky with the fact that I found the people that work for me and that they have as much passion and they believe in me. These people are dedicated to me. I mean, they just are. You can just see when you walk in to Firehouse Coffee that they love being there. It's the perfect environment for them. And they're proud to be a part of something that's growing. And, I've said this at, several of our meetings when we've gone out, because I take them out for dinner and stuff like that for the holidays. And I've said several times, I said, I don't know if any of us will ever see anything like this again as to our growth and to what we're doing, because I have a lady, her name's Linda. She comes in and she does all my online orders, and she'll come in and she'll be like, "Oh my gosh, like, where did these come from?" And then she goes through and, she has very few errors ever that we send stuff out. And I know you recently had an error, but we followed up on that and hopefully everything was good. But she's a phenomenal lady, and I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have my team. I really am.
Well, we just got decaf. We didn't get the decaf, I think. It wasn't a crazy error.
I actually fired her, and I thought I'd give her one more shot. That was it.
But that's a testament to your character, brother. Good leadership, not being. I'll say, well, you already cursed, so whatever. Not being an asshole, that helps. And if you do that, you're right. Your people are loyal. They want to work for you. They want to be here for you. They have skin in the game. They want to create that best product possible. I mean, everything you said, it can, just go right to me too, man. I mean, I started by myself, doing the marketing thing, and then I found great people. Found Joe. Joe was the first guy, and we worked together for a while, and I finally got him to, come on board. And Paige and Heather and my wife came on. She works with us now. Karina, like, I'm nothing without my team.
You have a good team here, and it's beautiful. We have
a good time. We're a bunch of hooligans, man. We just have a good time. We have our own group text. When I could tell that we really loved each other and really wanted to hang out with each other was we text each other on weekends or on off hours. To just stupid things. But the fact that you'll spend that little bit of time to send it out, just shows right there that everybody cares. We like being together. So, I commend you for that. And it shows in your product, dude. It's really freaking good.
I appreciate it. I really do.
Yes. And I appreciate you coming in today. We're going to do this again.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like there's so much more to be told as far as the Firehouse Coffee story.
And I think we can team up. I think, let's team up, do something big for Berks County. I think I have a bunch of ideas that are going through my head now about, teaming up with you guys, and, there's a lot to be said, and we can change the path of this area. I mean, we really truly can, and we can do good for people. And I truly believe in that. And I think there are people that are out there that want to help us, want to help people do good. And sometimes they're not the people to start it and, make it happen. I'm a starter. I can start things and, kind of put a direction there and see who can jump on the train with us.
Let's do it, bro. Let's make the avenue for them to jump on.
Let's figure it out and come up with something. And, I'm not going to say that we have a timeline on it, but let's do it. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. And get it out there.
I dig it. All right, we're going to pound on it.
All right. Sounds like a plan. All right.
Thanks for coming in.
No problem.
Mike, appreciate it.
It's very nice you having me, and I do want to just end it with I'm very honored to be here. I think the world of you guys, and thank you.
Thank you. We're honored that you're hanging out with us.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Right on. We'll talk to you real soon.
All right. Cheers.